You've done it before, Gege Akutami, but tell me, do you have the nerve to do it again? What's up guys, Pencil here, and here we are to do a breakdown / discussion on whether or not Akutami should essentially break the cycle. Whether they should divert course. Whether they should sort of, essentially, for lack of a better term, let's say, shatter the shonen cycle, if you will. And if you don't know what the shonen cycle is, I think you do. I think you've seen it before, and I think you're going to see it again, and I think you will see it for time immemorial as long as Shonen Jump, or realistically, stories are stories with main characters and main antagonists. But, of course, I'm here to clarify and I'm here to explain, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Heading me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up guys, that guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, what am I talking about? Like, what am I actually talking about? Like, what am I actually talking about? Well, I'm here to tell you. The shonen cycle, or the Sukuna cycle, or the main character syndrome, or the conventional narrative choice for almost any writer of any piece of fiction, ever, is to set up a main protagonist and a main antagonist. This is not exclusive to Battle Shonen. It's not exclusive to Shonen. It's not exclusive to really any genre ever. If you have a main protagonist, they'll likely have some sort of main antagonist that they need to overcome. And it's kind of like basic writing structure. Not like Hero's Journey stuff, like everything. You can find this in romance. You can find this in, obviously, combat manga. You can find this in, I don't know enough, like, historical pieces. Like, it's weird. There are always protagonists and antagonists no matter where you look. And sometimes things will be written that way for it to be that way. But naturally, there are levels to everything, especially in narratives. There are main antagonists and there are main protagonists. And naturally, a main protagonist has a certain duty. A certain place. A place that is not necessarily... Is it impossible still? I'm trying to think of one example off the top of my dome, but then again, that's such a... nope, I'm thinking of nothing but spoilers. But I'm trying to think of, like, one major manga or major story that I've read that did not have its main antagonist defeated by its main protagonist. This is something that's come up in regards to the Jujutsu Kaisen story as of recent, especially with the latest chapters, and 262-2 with its final gamble, with its final gambit introduced at the end of the chapter, has definitely raised it up again, higher than arguably ever before. Should Gege break convention? Because obviously convention is to have your main character defeat the main villain. But typically, as in many other stories, those conventions sort of come with conventions of themselves. In other stories, the main character is typically a lot more powerful than their sidecast. I mean this wholly unironically. Think of almost all popular manga, especially battle manga, who, at the end of the Buu saga, okay, unless you, in anime actually that's kind of debatable, but at the end of the Buu saga, Son Goku is one of the strongest. You go by the anime, he weirdly enough is the strongest. And by the time Battle of Gods, they apparently retroactively confirm that he's the strongest until Vegeta goes crazy. But, Buu saga, strongest character. Who, in the Cell saga, defeated Cell? Oh, Gohan. Who's he? Strongest character. Not the protagonist, though. That's not the main protagonist, so I guess that actually is an example. So never mind. It's possible. Convention's been broken before. Because Gohan, I mean, you can make arguments Gohan's meant to be the main character. But, you get Bleach. Who typically defeats the main protagonist, or the main, hopefully not the main protagonist, who typically defeats the main antagonist in Bleach? I wonder. Maybe is it Ichigo Kurosaki? Who typically defeats the major antagonists in Naruto? Maybe the guy the show's named after. Who is the guy who beats all the big bads in One Piece? I haven't even read that manga, and I know it's Luffy. I know at the bottom of my heart. With rare exception, there's sometimes he's lost. Or a very big loss. It's called spoilers. But, with that being the case, it's just convention. It's kind of how you write a story. A main protagonist has to defeat the main antagonist, whether it be of the arc, but especially of the entire narrative. There are recent series that have ended or are on the verge of ending that also had their main protagonist defeat their main antagonist. Shock horror. But, we're talking about Gege Akutami. A character a man, an individual, because I don't know, there's a hot debate on their general, like, stature. But an individual who had the most popular character that New Gen had ever seen in Gojo Satoru had the perfect backup plan in case they needed to let the man win. And then had the opportunity to bring him back in a variety of ways that people are still debating about to this day. To this day. And proceeded to slice him in half off screen. To say that Gege Akutami is conventional is ludicrous at this point. Like, I'm not going to say it's wrong. Like, it's not incorrect. But, like, name me one dub Yuji's got. Entirely on his own, of his own free power. Name me one major antagonist Yuji has defeated. Like, put in the ground. Can't say Mahito, that was stolen. Who else is there? You can't name it. Because he hasn't done it. Very non-conventional. Notice how I mentioned a lot of the other characters are typically some of the strongest in their narratives by the time they're ending a major antagonist. Yeah, I'd say Luffy was pretty much one of the strongest outside of the Yonko by the end of Whole Cake. Don't ask me how I know that. I still haven't read that manga yet. I'd say that Ichigo was pretty strong at the end of the Soul Society arc. Was he one of the strongest in the verse? Absolutely not. But still, he was pretty darn powerful when he defeated the major antagonist of that arc. Gosh darn it, I'd hazard a guess to say that Son Goku was very, very mighty by the time he was throwing hands with Kid Buu. But, ultimately, as much as I love him, he's simply not like that. He's not built like that for real. Not a single major antagonist dubbed to his name. Not a single bit of serious damage done to the King Curse outside the massive output drops. I'm kidding. I know he got the massive output drops and he's the reason half these characters are even alive. But still, Yuji's just not a conventional main character. And pretty arguably, Sukuna, despite being a somewhat conventional main antagonist, he's not conventional either. Gege Akutami isn't conventional. How they operate and how they write their manga is strange to a lot of people. It's why a lot of people really enjoy JJK, and even those who say they don't enjoy JJK enjoy JJK. Some of its most vocal critics are there first on leak nights. I would know. I wouldn't. I'm usually asleep. But, like, okay, not of recent. I do be up on leak nights now, which is crazy. But still, the idea still stands. The property still stands. The non-conventionality of JJK is one of its biggest selling points. So the question is, okay, we have a story that is non-conventional. We have an author who works non-conventionally. We have a non-conventional main character, and a mostly conventional but non-conventional main antagonist who also does have a pseudo-backup plan, just in case their whole antagonist thing falls out in the merger, which was set up by another major antagonist in Big Jaku. So the question really becomes, is Sukuna really needed to go by Yuji? Does Yuji have to get that dub? Or can it hypothetically be left to other characters? Can it hypothetically be left to Gota Akotsu, or Yuta Akotsu, Inumaki Toge, Maki Zenin, Akari Kinji? Could it be left to anybody else? Does it really have to be Yuji? Does it really matter? And on a non-conventionality standard, going according to what the rest of JJK has offered, and just sticking by it's non-conventional, thus it's good, thus it's okay? No, of course not. I could appear in the manga and suddenly beat Sukuna. I do have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. Of course. I can go in there and one-shot him right now. But would that be narratively satisfying? What connection do I have with Sukuna? Other than this, I ain't got no narrative connection with Sukuna. How would y'all feel if Goku instant transmission in and just Kamehameha Sukuna out of existence? I should have broken into the domain barrier and went, yeah! And then, like, just defeated Sukuna. I mean, like, he could. I know people would go crazy. And like that, you want to talk about breaking the internet? That would break the internet, all right. But still wouldn't really be narratively satisfying. What if the original Sun Wukong? Like, I don't know. You could insert character here, insert character here, insert character here. But ultimately, I do think it does matter. Because a big issue that every other candidate that could execute Sukuna, don't get me wrong, I'm under no delusion that Yuji Itadori, and hypothetically Ao Todo since he's still around, I'm under no preconception that these two are the only individuals who could defeat the King of Curses and properly lay him out. Dog, I love Maki. And let me tell you, she fumbled numerous. That man should be beheaded at this point. At least missing a leg. Maki could have offed this man 15 times by now. Not 15, twice. When she first broke into the main beard, to the head. When she caught him off guard again, should have taken that arm, should have taken that head. Not in that way. But still, it's there. The winning rounds are there. Heck, Yuta could have snuck up and just hollow purple the both of them. He didn't have to come out and then do that. He could have just been chanting for 15 miles away while Sukuna's getting his heart torn out and about to domain expansion until a hollow purple tears through and wipes Sukuna off the mat. You could do it. There are other ways. And once again, of course, Su 62-2 has established one of these big, bad, alternate, crazy ways. Sukuna could just go out like this. It could be a meaty, juicy, thick, hefty, scrumdiddlyumptious hollow purple to the chest. Full output. It's from Goda. Goda is Gojo. This is a super weakened Sukuna, who's only down to Yuta Okotsu levels of cursed energy. Yuta Okotsu is forward to Gojo Satoru, bada bing, bada boom, a hollow purple, wipe him off the map. It's easy. It's simple. It's clean. It's when you walk away. You don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. But this would not necessarily work out. At least in my opinion, not narratively. Because the thing is, a big issue is, well, there are definitely interesting parallels between Yuta and Sukuna as characters. And I definitely like the idea of their dynamic. Ultimately, it's still non-existent relative to this dynamic. You know, Unc and nephew. Father and son, it's just non-existent. I'm sorry. Right now, if we're looking at narrative satisfaction, it's not just beating Sukuna at this point. It isn't. Like, if we were just still all the way back, right after Gojo's end, maybe when Kashima first landed, or heavens forbid, right at the start of the Gojo versus Sukuna fight, maybe it was about beating Sukuna then. Heck, it really was about beating Sukuna for me. I have faith in this man. I have faith in this man, and he was going to beat this man. Faith was misplaced. Because I just didn't see the vision then, but I see it now, ultimately. Ultimately, Gojo Satoru, outside of his strongest dynamic, didn't have much of a relationship with Sukuna. He just didn't. So it wouldn't make sense for him to defeat him on a character and narrative level. Just like Ino doesn't have much of a justification for beating Sukuna. Just like Maki didn't. Just like Todo doesn't. Just like Yuta doesn't. None of these characters do, and that's okay. That's fine. He already has someone who's meant to defeat him. And ultimately, while it will be conventional, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're going to be breaking ground on some crazy next level thing. Oh no, wow, the big main character defeats the big main antagonist. What a crazy revelation. My toes are curling backwards. No, it will be normal. That's okay. It makes the most sense. Don't get me wrong. I love Gege for their subversion. What in the world was that sentence? I love Gege for their subversions too. I think the fact that my ankles are consistently under repair every single time I open a chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, whether it be a full chapter or not, my ankles are consistently getting shattered when we've been fighting the same guy for over a year now is still impressive to me. The fact that I can still not predict this author in spite of now knowing them and actively reviewing their series and analyzing their series for multiple hours. If you were to compile all the time I spent recording, editing, reading, rereading, and talking about JJK, it could likely fill at bare minimum 2 weeks. I'm talking like full 24-hour days, I'm talking a long time. And I can still get my ankle shattered. I'm still not just reading the manga. And by reading the manga, I mean reading into the future of the manga. That's impressive. But I don't think you should subvert expectations just for the sake of subverting them. I think a whole bunch of work has been put into this dynamic. There's a reason why people are still itching for it. Even the biggest Yuji haters I know, and I know a couple, even they want Yuji to beat Sukuna because it would be the most cathartic. After all that Sukuna has put Yuji through, after all the people he's taken away, all the damage he's caused, all the force and trauma and suffering he's put Yuji through, no matter how many other people have suffered, no matter how many people have fell, no matter how many people have some sort of connection or relationship or dynamic to the King of Curses, regardless, it is Yuji Itadori's place to strike him down. He's earned it. He earned it all the way back in Chapter 1. Where the King of Curses was first ingested and allowed him to awaken his latent cursed energy. So, ultimately, yeah, it'll be a bit generic. It'll be a bit boring. It'll be a little bit garden variety in concept. But I clearly think in execution, Gege has proven that the defeat of Yuji Itadori will not happen. It won't exist. The defeat of Ryomen Sukuna at the hands of Yuji Itadori. It's digidestined. And it's come with great cost, great loss, and great pain, but great entertainment for us as readers. So ultimately, I now await with bated breath, as Yuta Kotsu is digidestined to fail in his final attempt in order to strike down the King of Curses, as he's destined to do, and for Yuji Itadori to take the spotlight. Ultimately, on a much weaker Sukuna, of course. On one who's been battered, bruised, torn down, torn apart, of course. But still, a Sukuna who has been long since waiting. A certain individual to come strike him down. And I'm excited to see it. But that's what I think. Please what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that Yuta should take Sukuna out, or anyone else should take Sukuna out, or Sukuna should take himself out? Anything else? Do you believe that that should be the case? And that Yuji Itadori has lost the right, and ultimately for the conventions of the narrative-breaking narrative that Gege has set up, that ultimately someone else should take the big dub from Yuji on Sukuna away? Or do you agree with me and think that ultimately Yuji's the only character who can defeat Sukuna because he's earned it, and because the narrative has been built that way? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave the new king in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 month. Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month and get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below, where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our $3 members, Zena, Greyhound, Astro, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, G Prosper, Red Wolf 4765, and Paris Arnold. I'd like to leave another big ol' thank you to our $5 patrons, Sean, Sammy, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a great big thank you to our $7 members, Autumn Mornings Lazo, Fine, and That Guy. And I'd like to give a great big thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give big, hefty, juicy thank yous to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Michael Williamson, Metal Solid Crisis, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give the biggest, juiciest, meatiest, sloppiest, and heftiest thank you of them all to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.